Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Monday, August 3rd, 2020. Today I'm going to go over the weekend's NHL, NBA, MLB, and Major League Soccer games, and look ahead to today's games in NHL, NBA, and Major League Baseball. We'll talk about the Cardinals' COVID situation. We'll recap the golf tournament from the weekend and the weekend's NASCAR race, and I'll have my best bet of the day. All right, we'll start with hockey because it was the newest sport to return from its hiatus. The qualifying rounds began, as well as the qualifying round robin for the top 4 teams in each conference. And without further ado, here we go. Hurricanes over the Rangers 3-2 to take a 1-0 series lead. Number 3 started the game with goal and assist, Sebastian Ayo. Number 2 started the game with a goal and assist, Mika Zibanejad. And number 1 started the game with a goal and assist, Jacob Slavin. Blackhawks over the Oilers 6-4 to take a 1-0 series lead. Number 3 started the game with a goal and 2 assists, Connor McDavid. Number 2 started the game with 2 goals and assists, Jonathan Toews. And the number 1 started the game with 2 goals and 3 assists, Dominik Kubelak, who was a surprise number 1 star. I don't think anybody would have expected that. Islanders over the Panthers 2-1 to take a 1-0 series lead. The number 1 star of the game with a goal, Juan Gabriel Pago. Number 2 started the game with an assist, Devin Toews. Number 3 started the game, no points, but he just played well, Aaron Ekblad. Canadians over the Penguins 3-2 in overtime on a goal by Jeff Petrie. And the number 3 started the game with a goal and no assists was Sidney Crosby. The number 2 started the game. It doesn't stay here necessarily who it is, but the number 1 started the game has to be Petrie for the overtime winner, you would assume. If I had to pick a number 2 star, I would probably say it was Brandon Rust with the game-tying goal for Pittsburgh. Flames over Jets 4-1 to take a 1-0 series lead. The number 3 started the game with a goal and no assist, Mikael Backlund. Number 2 started the game with a goal and an assist, Andrew Mangiapane. And number 1 started the game with a goal, Johnny Gaudreau. Sunday's results. Coyotes over the Predators 4-3 to take a 1-0 series lead. The number 3 started the game with 2 goals, Philip Forsberg. Number 2 started the game with 40 saves on 43 shots, Darcy Kemper. And the number 1 started the game with a goal and an assist, Christian Dvorak. So a deserving number 1 star there. Flyers over the Bruins 4-1, the qualifying round. Number 3 started the game with an assist, Ivan Provorov. Number 2 started the game with a goal and an assist, Michael Raffl. And the number 1 started the game with 34 saves on 35 shots, Carter Hart. Avs over the Blues 2-1 on a buzzer-beater goal by Nazem Kadri with 0.1 seconds left. Unbelievable. The number 3 started the game with 36 saves on 38 shots, Jordan Binghamton. Number 2 started the game with the game-winning goal, Nazem Kadri. And the number 1 started the game with 31 saves on 32 shots, Philip Grobauer. Blue Jackets over the Maple Leafs 2-0 to take a 1-0 series lead. The number 3 started the game with 33 saves on 35 shots, Frederik Andersen. Number 2 started the game with a goal and assist, Cam Atkinson. Number 1 started the game with 28 saves on 28 shots, Joonas Korpisalo. Wild over the Canucks 3-0 to take a 1-0 series lead. Number 3 started the game with a goal, Kevin Fiala. Number 2 started the game with 2 goals and an assist, Jared Bergeron. And the number 1 started the game with 28 saves on 28 shots, Alex Stalock. Going ahead to the games today, they are 6 of them, my bad. So 12 o'clock on NBCSN, you have the Rangers and the Hurricanes. I'm going to say the Rangers even this thing up at 1 apiece. I had the Rangers in 5. I'm going to stick with it. The Rangers did not play well in the first period. That came back to bite them. Henrik Lundqvist looked good in goal. You would have thought it was Igor Shesterkin, but looks like that they're riding with the veteran. That's played in so many big games before and has had a lot of success against Carolina. And I disagree with the decision, although Lundqvist played very well, I thought, on Saturday. So I'm going to go with the Rangers here to even up at 1 apiece. I'm going to say they win this game 4-3 or something like that. I think their offense will be better than it was in Game 1. 2:30, the Jets and the Flames, Game 2. I'm going to say Winnipeg evens this up at 1 apiece today. I think Connor Hellebuck will bounce back from a poor performance in Game 1, so give me Winnipeg to even it up at 1 apiece. Round robin game at 4 o'clock on NBCSN between the Capitals and the Lightning. I'm going to go with the Lightning here. They're the better team. They're the deeper team. Although I do think the Capitals are a team to keep an eye out for in terms of a dark horse team to go on a long run in the playoffs. They did just win the Stanley Cup a couple years ago. So give me the Lightning in this round robin game. The Western Conference round robin, Stars Golden Knights, 6:30 NHL Network. This game I am going to roll with the Vegas Golden Knights. I think that they're a team that I think pundits are sleeping on a little bit as well. They're really good offensively. They have a good goalie tandem. And their defense isn't that good anymore. But I like their offense better than Dallas's. And I think that's the difference here. So give me Vegas over Dallas in this one. Canadians and the Penguins, 8 o'clock on NBCSN. Second game in a row for those two teams in primetime. The team under the most pressure today to get a win is no doubt the Pittsburgh Penguins. They have to win this game. They were surprisingly losers on Saturday night. I think they'll get it together. Sidney Crosby's going to rally the troops. It looks like they're going to go with Matt Murray again, as they went with Murray the other day. Murray is the same reason why the Rangers went with Lundqvist, and a couple of these other teams decided to go with veterans over youngsters. But I think that regardless of who's in net, I think Pittsburgh will bounce back and win this game. So give me the Penguins to even up the series at 1 apiece. And then the Blackhawks and the Oilers, 10:30 on NBCSN. The team in the Western Conference with the most pressure, you would have to think, is the Oilers. After getting demolished by the Blackhawks, they're down 6-2 at one point, but made it 6-4. To make that score look a little respectable. But the best player in the league, the best player in this game, in this series, Connor McDavid. And I think the second best player is Leon Draisaitl. So I think they'll bounce back. They'll play better defensively. Mike Smith will play better unless they go in a different direction in goal. So give me the Oilers to tie this up at 1 apiece. So I have all the Game 1 losers winning today. And in the round robins, I'm going to go with the Lightning and Vegas Golden Knights. Now I'm going to go over the weekend's NBA games and look ahead to the slate for today. We'll start with Friday. Magic over the Nets, 128-118. Orlando 31-35, Brooklyn 30-35, Evan Fournier 24, Timothy Luwawu Karabat 24. Blazers over the Grizzlies 141-35 in overtime in what was a great game. Portland 30-37, Memphis 32-34. CJ McCollum at 33 and so did Jared Jackson Jr. Suns over the Wizards 125-112. Devin Booker at 27, Rui Hachimura had 21. Bucks over the Celtics 119-112. Bucks 54-12. Boston 43-22. Giannis Antetokounmpo at 36 points, 15 boards. Marcus Smart at 23 to lead the Celtics in scoring. Spurs over the Kings 129-120. Spurs 28-36. Sacramento 28-37. DeMar DeRozan at 27. De'Aaron Fox at 39. Rockets over the Mavericks 153-149 in overtime in what was a classic game. Houston 41-24, Dallas 40-28. James Harden had 49 points and 8 assists. Kristaps Porzingis had 16 points 39 points and 16 rebounds. He was absolutely tremendous, and one of his first huge spotlight games of his career, granted in defeat, or I should say as a Maverick, not necessarily in his career. He's played in some big-ish regular season games with the Knicks before as well. Saturday's results: Heat over the Nuggets 125-105, Miami 42-24, Denver 43-23. Nikola Jokic had 19 for Denver. Bam Adebayo had 22 for Miami. Thunder over the Jazz 110-94. The Thunder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 19 points. Donovan Mitchell 13 with 4 assists. By the way, Utah 42-24. OKC improving to 41-24. Clippers over the Pelicans 126-103. A dominant win for the Clippers. 45-21 on the year. New Orleans 28-38. Paul George has been incredible in this restart. He had 28 points to lead the Clips in scoring. Nickeil Alexander-Walker had 15 to lead the Pels in scoring. Pacers over the Sixers 127-121. This was a somewhat surprising result in the way of how it happened. Indiana 40-26, Philly 39-27. TJ Warren 53 points. 53 points, including 9 3-pointers. Insane. And Joel Embiid had 41-21, and they lost. Like, Philly, people are probably killing Philly for losing this game. But TJ Warren was hot. 53 points. That doesn't happen every day. If it wasn't for that, Philly wins. Raptors over the Lakers 107-92. Raptors 47-18, Lakers 15-15. Kyle Lowry, 33 points, 14 boards. LeBron James had 20 and 10 and 5. Now yesterday's results. Nets over the Wizards 118-110. Brooklyn 31-35. Washington 24-42. Karis LeVert had 34 points. And Thomas Bryant had 30 with 13 boards. Celtics over the Blazers 128-124. Celtics 44-22, Blazers 30-38. This was a great game. Jason Tatum 34 points and 8 assists. Yusuf Nurkic 30 points and 9 boards. Spurs over the Grizzlies 108-106. Spurs 29-36, Memphis 32-35. DeJounte Murray 21 points, 10 rebounds. John Morant 25 points and 9 assists. Magic over the Kings 132-116. The Magic 32-35. Sacramento 28-38. Terrence Ross 25 points. Harry Giles led the Kings in scoring with 23 points and 8 boards. Story of this game though, Jonathan Isaacs tore his ACL for the Magic. That's a huge loss for this team. I won't be shocked if they go winless the rest of Orlando. This is a major injury. He was having a breakout year this year, Isaacs. And it's unfortunate. And again, Twitter is just being morons here, making fun of Isaacs for getting hurt because he stood for the anthem. And people are saying that's karma. Ridiculous. Injuries happen. Injuries are fluky. And it's just sad. And hopefully Jonathan Isaacs gets well soon. And there's a lot of ramifications for this for Orlando in the future and how they should be blowing their team up. And the same thing, that's what happened with the Knicks when Porzingis tore his ACL. Took them a year, but they blew up their team as well, including trading Porzingis as well. So I think the Magic could be heading for a blow-up rebuild here with this injury in the future. But we'll talk more about that on a future podcast. As, like I said, Jonathan Isaacs, hopefully he gets well soon. And hopefully he can recover from this because he's a very talented young player. Rockets over the Bucks 120-116. Rockets 42-24. Bucks 54-13. Russell Westbrook 31 points and 8 assists. Giannis had 36 with 18 boards and 8 assists. Just couldn't do it by himself. Suns over the Mavs 117-115. A huge win for the Suns to go 2-0 so far in this restart. They're really taking this seriously. 28-39, Dallas 40-29, and they did clinch a playoff spot with somebody losing. I can't think of who it was. I think it was New Orleans. Devin Booker had 30 points. Luka Doncic had 40 points and 11 assists. Games for today, there's 6. 1:30 NBA TV, you have the Toronto Raptors taking on the Miami Heat. So a very good Eastern Conference matchup there. I would make this game Raptors by 3. And it is Raptors by 3.5. So the question is, do I go with Miami with the hook? Or do I go with the total? Since it's so close and I really don't have a big edge, I am going to go with a total here as my pick with the over. But in terms of a pick for this game, straight up wise, I will roll with the Miami Heat getting the 3.5 against the spread, but I just think it's going to be a close game. I won't be shocked if the Raptors cover, or I'm sorry, the Heat cover, but the Raptors win. Next up, you have the Nuggets and the Thunder. I would make this game Nuggets by 1, and they have it Thunder by 6. There must be an injury or something that I don't know about. This is the most ludicrous line of the restart so far. Explain to me how the Thunder are favored over the Nuggets. Is there an injury that I don't know about? Is Jokic out? This is nuts. This is just ridiculous. I'm taking Denver plus the 6. They're winning outright, and they're 2-1 on the money line. Oh my God, that is ridiculous. All due respect to Chris Paul, the Thunder should not be that big of a favorite. Durant's not on the Thunder anymore. Paul George is not on the Thunder anymore. It's the most ridiculous line I've seen in the restart so far. For sure. Then you got the Pacers and the Wizards. I would make this game Indiana by 14. And that's with Sabonis being injured, and that's with the Wizards without their guys. It's Pacers by 7.5. I'd lay the 7.5 at Indiana as my play here against the Wizards. Then you have Memphis and New Orleans. I would make this game a pick'em as New Orleans is sitting there with a 4.5 point favorite. This is pretty much a Zion boost. I'm taking Memphis in the points. I think New Orleans will probably win because they need a win, but I would take Memphis to cover. San Antonio and Philadelphia at 8 o'clock tonight. And oh, by the way, Grizzlies Pels is on ESPN. Raptors, Heat, and Nugs Thunder are on NBA TV. So Spurs and the Sixers is next up. I would make this game Philadelphia by 12, and it's Philadelphia by 7. So I'm going to lay the 7 with Philadelphia, so I get another game with a big edge here. And then the last game is Utah against the Lakers. I would make this line the Lakers by 6, and guess what? It's Lakers by 6. So I got the line correctly, but I absolutely love the over 216.5 in this game. I know these two teams have defensive reputations, but I think these two teams are going to score a lot. I think that's just very low for a total. So I'm going to go over 216.5 with the Jazz and the Lakers here in the final game of tonight during this NBA restart. Now we'll switch over to Major League Baseball, and go over those results and look ahead to the games on Monday, which is today. So Friday night, Yanks over the Red Sox 5-1, Braves over the Mets 11-10, Tigers over the Reds 7-2. We'll do records once it comes to the Sunday results. Orioles over the Rays 6-3, White Sox over the Royals 3-2, Pods over the Rockies 8-7, Twins over the Indians 4-1, Cubs over the Pirates 6-3, Giants over the Rangers 9-2, Astros over the Angels 9-6, Diamondbacks over the Dodgers 5-3, Mariners over the Athletics 5-3. Saturday, White Sox over the Royals 11-5, Angels over the Astros 5-4 in 10 innings on a walk-off sac fly by Michael Hermosillo. Braves over the Mets 7-1, Twins over the Indians 3-0, Orioles over the Rays 5-4 on a walk-off single by Pat Valika. Dodgers over the Diamondbacks 11-2, Rockies over the Padres 6-1, Cubs over the Pirates 4-3. Yankees over the Red Sox 5-2, Giants over the Rangers 7-3, Athletics over the Mariners 3-2 in 10 innings on a go-ahead RBI double, my bad, not RBI single, by Robbie Grossman. And looking ahead to the results from yesterday, now we'll do the records. Reds over the Tigers 4-3 in doubleheader game 1, which is now 7 innings. Reds 3-5, Tigers 5-4. Raciel Iglesias the win, Joe Jimenez the loss. Orioles over the Rays 5-1. Orioles 5-3, Rays 4-6. Getting the win for Baltimore and the sweep, Evan Phillips. The loss, Jalen Beeks. The save, who is now the Orioles' new closer, Cole Sulzer. Braves over the Mets 4-0. Braves 7-3, Mets 3-7. Getting the win for Atlanta, Tyler Matzik, and the loss, David Peterson. White Sox over the Royals 9-2. The White Sox are 5-4. The Royals are 3-7. Dylan Cease the win, and Scott Barlow the loss. Twins over the Indians 3-1. Twins 7-2. Indians 5-5. Getting the win here for Minnesota, Devin Smeltzer. The loss, Aaron Savali. The save, Sergio Romo. Cubs over the Pirates 2-1 in 11 innings. The Cubs are 7-2. The Pirates are 2-7. Jared Jeffries the win, and getting the loss was Cody Pence, and this game ended on a walk-off single by Javier Baez after a rain delay. Rockies over the Padres 9-6. The Rockies are 6-2. The Padres are 6-4. Antonio Senzatella the win. Zach Davies the loss. And getting the save for Colorado is Jair Diaz. Rangers over the Giants 9-5. Texas 3-5. Giants 5-5. Getting the win for Texas, Jonathan Hernandez, and the loss for San Francisco, Andrew Triggs. Dodgers over the Diamondbacks 3-0. The Dodgers are 7-3, Arizona 3-7. Clayton Kershaw the win, Merrill Kelly the loss, Kenley Jansen the save. Now it's Kershaw's season debut. Astros over the Angels 6-5 in 11 innings on a go-ahead RBI single by Alex Bregman. Astros 5-4, Angels 3-7. Getting the win for Houston, Blake Taylor, and the loss for Anaheim, Jacob Barnes. And oh, by the way, Shohei Ohtani was feeling a sore forearm. That is alarming for Anaheim. Athletics over the Mariners 3-2. The A's are 5-4. Seattle's 4-6. Chris Bassett the win, Kendall Graveman the loss, Liam Hendricks the save. Reds over Tigers 4-0 in the second doubleheader game in 7 innings. The Reds are 4-5. Detroit's 5-5. So the Reds are starting to bounce back after a slow start. Trevor Bauer the win, and Danny Norris the loss. And the Yankees over the Red Sox 9-7 to pull off the sweep. MLB at best 7-1. The Red Sox are 3-7. Adam Ottavino the win. Matt Barnes the loss. Zach Britton the save. Aaron Judge 2 homers, 5 RBIs in this game. Should be the AL MVP favorite at this point. Today's slate of games, you have at 6:40 the Indians against the Reds. Zach Plesac against Sonny Gray. Plesac, no decision, 0 RA, whip of .38. Gray 2-0 with a 0.71 ERA with a whip of .55. Phillies, Yankees. So this is the Phillies' first game since the COVID pause. Jake Arrieta making his season debut against Garrett Cole. Cole 2-0 with a 3.09 ERA, whip of .69. You have the Mets and the Braves on Fox Sports 1. Jacob deGrom against Mike Soroka. deGrom, no decisions with a .64 ERA, whip of .55. Soroka, same thing. No decision, but ERA 1.59, whip of .97. 8 o'clock, the White Sox and the Brewers. You have Carlos Rodon against Brett Anderson. Rodon 0-1 to 12.27 with a whip of 1.91, and Anderson making this season debut. Pirates Twins, Derek Holland and Lewis Thorpe. Holland, no decisions, 3.18 ERA, whip of .88. Thorpe, no decisions, 0 ERA, whip of 1.07. Royals Cubs at 8:15. Danny Duffy and Alec Mills. Duffy 0-1 to 5.79 ERA, whip of .75. Mills 1-0 to 3 ERA, whip of .67. 8:40, the Giants and the Rockies. Johnny Cueto against Chichi Gonzalez. Cueto, no decisions, 5.87 ERA, whip of 1.7. Chichi Gonzalez making his season debut. 9 o'clock, the Dodgers and the Padres. This is a great pitching matchup between two great starters. Walker Buehler against Chris Paddock. Buehler, no decisions with a 4.91 ERA, whip of 1.09. Paddock 1-0 with the 1.64 ERA, whip of 1. Athletics Mariners. Frankie Montas and Justice Sheffield. Both pitchers 0-1. Montas the ERA of 3. Sheffield the ERA of 12. Alrighty. Now I want to talk about the Cardinals' COVID situation and just the COVID situation around Major League Baseball. So, the Cardinals had a bunch of players test positive, like 7 people in the organization. But there's some reports that there's more than that. So, Craig Mish reported that several Cardinals players tested positive and that there's more than 5. And then there's rumors that they will resume play tomorrow, like the Marlins, because their situation's not as bad as the Marlins. The media is making it out to be worse than or just as bad as the Marlins, but it's really not. The Marlins had 18 in their entire organization, like literally almost half their roster, and then a lot of staff for them. And then, by the way, the Marlins and the Phillies, so the Phillies all negatives today and all negatives the last 2 days, so they're ready to come back today against the Yankees. And then the Marlins have been negative the last 2 days. We're waiting on word from them. They're supposed to restart against the Orioles tomorrow. And then Derek Gold, who I think is the best St. Louis Cardinals beat reporter, had reported that they are going to resume on Tuesday. So that's good news. And that's supposedly against the Tigers. So they're supposed to play the Tigers a bunch of times next week. And that should get the Cardinals going because the Tigers stink. And the Reds got going against the Tigers, so should the Cardinals after their COVID pause. Lorenzo Cain opted out of the season. That is a big blow for the Milwaukee Brewers. They really were looking mad for trending away Trent Grisham, but little did they know that they could use Trent Grisham. So that looks like a bad trade now, as he's doing very well with the Padres, as well as Zach Davies, too. They could have used him. That's a big loss for the Brewers, and if they're still in contention, then maybe they can replace him somehow with, like, Corey Dickerson of the Marlins. I'm just throwing a name out there. Jonathan Villar of the Marlins, or somebody like that they can get to fill in that spot. Another big name to opt out, and probably the biggest name to opt out of the season thus far, Johannes Cespedes of the New York Mets. But you could argue David Price for a bigger name, but, like, Johannes is a huge name. He plays in a big market on the Mets. And he hit the home run on Thursday and then was struggling. And then he vanished on yesterday. And there's reporting that he disappeared from the team. There's lots of false reporting, and ultimately word came out from Brodie Van Wagenen, their general manager, that he had opted out of the season. That's a huge loss for the Mets. There's no other way you can spin it. Huge loss for the New York Mets. They're going to miss him, and this could very well cost them a division title, let alone a playoff spot. They can still get into the playoffs in my mind, because they still have Jacob deGrom. They still have some other good offensive players. Robinson Cano is hitting well, surprisingly. And I did predict a somewhat bounce-back season for him. But their problem is their bullpen. Dylan Betances has not pitched well thus far for the Mets, and they are banking on him to be good. They are banking on Edwin Diaz to bounce back. He's blown a couple saves already, so that trade already looks like a disaster. But yeah, they really have to rely on Robinson Cano to be good. They need Pete Alonso to look like Pete Alonso from last year. Same with J.D. Davis. They need Michael Conforto to look like what he's capable of being. They need Brandon Nimmo to step up. But yeah, they need their offense to get going. Sans no Cespedes, but I think their bigger problem relies on the bullpen, despite the fact that one of their best bats has opted out in the middle of the season. And oh, by the way, if the Mets start to win games here and find themselves in a position to go out and make a trade, they can do that as well. We were talking about that with the Brewers with Lorenzo Cain. Then the Mets should do that with Cespedes, go out and get a rental to replace Cespedes' production for a little while. And then they could do that for the bullpen as well if they get back in this pennant race here. Or I should call it the pennant sprint, because the season is pretty much a sprint, not a marathon. Now I'm going to go over the MLS's back quarterfinal games from the weekend. Some interesting results, that's for sure. Obviously 4 games in the quarterfinal, and there will be 2 in the semifinal, and then obviously the title games. So we went over the games from early last week, but we didn't go over the quarterfinal games. Philadelphia over Sporting KC 3-1. Philadelphia moves on to the semifinals. In the 24th minute of the game, they got on the board on a goal by Jamiro Monteiro to go up 1-0. And then 2 minutes later, they go up 2-0 on a goal by Sergio Santos. And then they go up 3-0 on another goal by Santos in the 39th minute. And then in extra time before the intermission, KC gets on the board on a goal by Alan Pulido to make it a 3-1 game. And then there was no scoring after that. Philadelphia moves on. Orlando City over LAFC. It was a 1-1, but 6-5 in penalty kicks as Orlando moves on to the semifinal. LAFC goes home. LAFC actually was on the board first on a goal by Bradley Wright Phillips to go up 1-0. Now it's in the 60th minute. And then in the 90th minute, Orlando ties it on a goal by Joao Montino to get the draw, and then ultimately goes to penalty kicks. Orlando City comes out on top. Saturday, Minnesota over San Jose 4-1 to advance. They got on the board first on a goal by Robin Lowe to go up 1-0. And then 1 minute later in the 21st minute, they go up 2-0 on a goal by... Who scored for Minnesota to go up 2-0? Ja'Cory Hayes. And then in the second half, San Jose gets on the board on a penalty kick in the 50th minute on a goal by Magnus Eriksson to make it 2-1. And then 6 minutes later, Minnesota goes up 3-1 on a goal by Luis Amarilla. And then 4-1 to put it away in the 86th minute on a goal by Marlon Hairston. So Minnesota moves on to the semis. And then Portland over NYCFC, 3-1. As Portland moves on, but NYCFC got on the board first in the 27th minute on a penalty kick shot by Jesus Medina to go up 1-0. And then right before the half, Portland ties it on a goal by Sebastian Blanco. Now we're in the second half, and they take a 2-1 lead in the 65th minute on a goal by Diego Valeri. And then in the 76th minute, they go up 3-1 on a goal by Andy Polo. And that was that. 2 semifinal games, which we'll pick on Wednesday night and Thursday night's podcast, respectively. You have Philadelphia against Portland and Orlando City against Minnesota. Now I'm going to go over the golf results from the weekend in the FedEx tournament, the FedEx St. Jude. Your winner, Justin Thomas, with a total of 13 under. A big tie for second, Phil Mickelson, Daniel Berger, Brooks Koepka, and Tom Lewis, all at 10 under. Big tie for sixth place with 9 under, Shane Lowry, Jason Day, Lewis Othsian, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Chez Reavie, and Xander Schauffele, all at 9 under. Tied for 12th with 8 under, Webb Simpson, Dustin Johnson, and Byung-Hun An. Tied for 15th with 7 under, Scotty Scheffler, Ricky Fowler, Ryan Palmer, Abraham Ancer, and Brendan Todd. Tied for 20th with 6 under, Hideki Matsuyama, Eric Van Rooyen, Bubba Watson. Actually, no, that was next group. Colin Morika, Hideki Matsuyama, we talked about Joel Dahman, Christian Biatsit. And then the tie that I was just referring to with Bubba Watson, along with Watson with the tie for 25th with 5 under, Kevin Kisner, Matt Kuchar among those. In the tie for 30th with a score of 4 under, Jordan Spieth, Bryson DeChambeau, JT Potson among those. Tied for 35th with a score of 3 under, Kevin Na, Sergio Garcia, Sungjae Im, Tommy Fleetwood. Mackenzie Hughes was in the tie for 44th with a score of 2 under, along with Jason Kokrak. Tied for 47th with a score of 1 under, Patrick Reed and Rory McIlroy. Tied for 49th and even. Among those was Tyler Duncan. Tied for 52nd with 1 over, John Rahm. And the tie for 57th with 2 over was Gary Woodland. And the tie for 59th with 3 over among those was Victor Hovland. In the tie for 65th with 4 over, Tony Finau. Ian Poulter was 7 over, tied for 69th. CT Pond, 8 over, tied for 72nd. And obviously we have a big one coming up this weekend in San Francisco on ESPN and CBS. the PGA Championship, which is going to be great. All the big names in it. You got Tiger, you have Rory, you have Bryson, you have Brooks, and we'll obviously make a pick for it on Wednesday's podcast. Now we'll go over the NASCAR race from yesterday in New Hampshire, which was a interesting race to say the least. And that was the only NASCAR race on this weekend in terms of the three leagues. Just pulling up the NASCAR results because it came to me for the Democratic Party voting results right there. So that was a mistake by me. I typed in New Hampshire results, and now I have New Hampshire results. NASCAR typed in, and your winner for this race was Brad Keselowski. Second place, Denny Hamlin. Third place, Martin Truex Jr. Fourth place was my selection of Joey Logano. Fifth, Kevin Harvick. Sixth, Matt DiBenedetto. Seventh, Eric Almirola. Eighth, Cole Custer. Ninth, Chase Elliott. 10th, Tyler Riddick. 11th, William Byron. 12th, Jimmy Johnson. 13th, Austin Dillon. 14th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 15th, Alec Bowman. 16th, Ryan Preece. 17th, Kurt Busch. 18th, Clint Boyer. 19th, Michael McDowell. 20th, Ryan Blaney. 21st, Ryan Newman. 22nd, Ty Dillon. 23rd, Bubba Wallace. 24th, Eric Jones. 25th, Chris Buescher. 26th, Daniel Suarez. 27th, Brendan Poole. 28th, Chris Bell. 29th, J.J. Yeley. 30th, James Davison. 31st, Garrett Smithley. 32nd, Quinn Houff. 33rd, Timmy Hill. 34th, Joey Gase. 35th, Corey LaJoie. 36th, John Hunter Nemechek. 37th, Matt Kenseth. And 38th, Kyle Busch. Very dismal race for Kyle Busch for sure. And then the upcoming NASCAR schedule for the week. On Friday night, you have the truck race in Michigan. Saturday afternoon, you have the Xfinity race in Michigan. And then Saturday late afternoon at Michigan, you have the Cup Series. And then Sunday late afternoon. So you have a doubleheader in Michigan for Cup this weekend. So 4 races this upcoming weekend, which we'll all pick on the podcast on Friday. Now I'll do my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. I have a lot of options here for best bet, and I'm certainly going in the NBA. There are 3 games that I have big edges on, but I only got to pick one for best bet. And I am going to go with the Denver Nuggets here. I don't get why the Thunder are 6-point favorites. I don't get it. So, best bet of the day, Denver Nuggets, +6 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think Denver wins outright. I would sprinkle a little bit on the money line as well. I think that's just insane that they are a 6-point dog against the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think that's a massive mistake. I said it earlier in the podcast as well, and I'll say it again. So, that's it for the show today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping the NHL, NBA, and MLB games and looking ahead to the games tomorrow, the latest with the COVID situation in Major League Baseball. I'll have it for you as well. And any other news in the world of sports. We'll talk more about the NFL opt-outs. More Patriots have opted out. We'll get into all that on tomorrow's podcast. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.